than anime. I have one friend who did a commercial when he was 10 years old for Hellmann's mayonnaise. It runs every Christmas. All he does is run across the screen yelling Santa, and I think at this point he's made $100,000 off that commercial. I've never made that kind of money for anything ever in my life. And I'm like, why don't I get to be in a national commercial that reruns every year? I mean, come on. And that's all he had to do. So every time that I talk to somebody, they're like, I just am not going to do commercials. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll do commercials. I'm not above it. If I'm not working on anything else, I would like to have like some money that I can pay rent with that one commercial I did 1,000,000 years ago. So I always tell people, never say no to work unless, and this is a huge unless you feel morally compromised. If it's a role that you're like, I will not be able to sleep at night, I will not be able to watch this with my parents, I will not be able to, if my kids saw this down in the future and they said, Mom, why did you do this? I would never be able to, I can't do it if I would have to talk to my kids and be like, well, sometimes you do things you're not proud of. That's not an answer. Like if you say, well, this isn't really the way that I would necessarily, there's a difference between playing a character that you don't agree with, but if my moral compass is if the project teaches someone something and someone can leave the film or leave the anime or leave the project better off, then it's a good project. But if there are moments where I feel like this is so gratuitous and icky and I would hate myself at the end of the day and feel disgusting, I can't do it. But if I say, look, this character goes through a great journey, or I feel like I could learn something about myself and be a better person, or someone else could be a better person, then it's a story worth telling. And that's the great thing about art, and that's the great thing about actors and people being completely different. Something that I don't connect with is something that someone else absolutely loves, which means the role was made for them and it's not made for me. And the big thing is, if you're wanting to be an actor, you're going to have to audition all the time. You're going to have to be told all the time, sorry, it didn't work. Either you're too short, you're too tall, your face looks weird, you don't look like someone else. Like, it doesn't matter. You can't take it personally, even though I always do when someone's like, I had two auditions where I went in and they said, I'm sorry, we just feel like you're too short and too fat. And then the next day, the same day, went to another audition, they're like, we thought you were too tall and thin. And I'm like, okay, this is the same day. It's not like I gained pounds and lost pounds in 15 minutes. Like, if I could do that, I would be super rich right now. Because I would just bottle that formula and sell it. You can't take it personally. It's their opinion. They're the ones making the project, and what they say goes. And they have to cast an entire catalog of people and an entire world of people, and if they say, this is the one guy who's born to play this role, we really like this girl, but she's 9 inches too short for him, and it's a love story, and we can't fit them in the same frame. So like, it would be a movie about the top of someone's head and the leading guy's face, which is just not going to work. They do have apple boxes, but I mean, having to build an apple box of street is really not easy, and it's expensive. It's been done for me a couple of times. It's really awkward, where they're like, oh, can we get her a box? Like 40 boxes so she can walk next to the guy who's really tall? It's not demeaning at all. So it's a very weird business. Just know that you're gonna audition for stuff. You're not gonna get cast a lot. And when you do get cast, it's gonna be amazing, and you have to appreciate every opportunity you get to go in and act. And you have to appreciate every time you get a call back, and every time somebody says, wow, that was really awesome. Because it genuinely was. And that might be all that you get that day is, wow, that was really awesome. And you have to go, cool, today I did my job. I always say, if I go into the room and I make a choice and I don't go, I mean, obviously I would love to get the job, but I don't go into the room saying, I need to get this job, I need to get this job. I go into the room saying, I want to make sure that that casting director or that table read or whoever's at the room, that they smile one time. And if that means I crack a horrible joke or I trip falling in the room, because that's how life happens sometimes, if I leave the room and they felt a little bit better about their day, that was my job. If they liked my acting, if they hated my acting, that doesn't matter. I am who I am. This is all I have to offer. But I can try to make someone smile, and I can try to say, like, what a great shirt, or, you know, whatever the case is. Because that's all you can do is try to make someone's day. Which works, if you're an actor, if you're a dentist, if you work at Starbucks, like, try to be nice to each other. And that's the only thing you can do as an actor, that's the only thing you can do in anything. Because it's such a weird business. People can say they love you and they're going to give you a job, or they hate you and they give you a job. I don't know. It's so weird. Do you guys have any questions? You want to talk about agents or roles or anything like that? Yes?
Getting the role of Asuna in SAO, what was that thought process like, and what was your favorite line to do as Asuna?
Good questions. Well, when I auditioned for Asuna, that was my first anime that I auditioned for in Los Angeles after I had moved there. So Bang Zoom sent me the scripts, first audition ever. So I decided, well, I'll watch a couple episodes. I'd heard people talking about it in conventions, that it was a great show. I was like, I'll just watch one episode and get a feel for it. I watched 5 episodes. And then I was like, oh, the audition's due in 20 minutes, because I had not slept and just watched all the way through. And so I just decided to voice the character not based on what I had heard. I didn't want to do a direct voice match of the Japanese character because I felt like it would sound like a ripoff of that performance. And I'm like, well, if they're hiring me, they're going to get a little bit of me in the room. So might as well be how she inspired my perception of Asuna, what I bring to the character, and if they like it, cool. If they don't, I guess it wasn't meant to be. But for this one, since I had seen the show and I loved the show, I really wanted to do it. So I sent in the audition. I think I auditioned for Asuna, Lisbeth, and I can't remember who the other character was.
Okay, there was also Silica, there was Lifa.
No, it was a really small character, Julier.
Oh, there we go.
And so I auditioned for those 3. They called me back in and said, we want you to come back for a callback and audition with the director and work with the producer. And so I read for Asuna again. They're like, you're not reading for anything else, you're just reading for Asuna. And I was like, well, this is terrifying. Because this either means that I either get Asuna or I get nothing. Like, I either work on the show as the lead or I'm not working on the show at all. I always like when they say, we've got 3 options for you. Because I'm like, this is 3 chances to get a job. When they like cut it down to 1 chance, you're like, oh, don't screw this up, friend. So I read for Asuna, and they kept saying, like, can we get her a little higher, can we get her a little girlier, okay, not that girly, we don't want to lose the kind of strength that she has, and so it was a really hard balance to find, and I thought, I don't think I'm getting this job, because they were just going back and forth a lot. And then they called